So all of these random, disturbing, and often negative thoughts keep on appearing in your mind, and you want to silence them. But the big question is, can you actually silence them? And the answer is yes, you can, but only if you go about dealing with these thoughts in the right way. First, let's look at the wrong way so that we don't go down that line. If you try to eliminate the thoughts in your mind by fighting them or by suppressing them, they will flare up and become stronger. Even if you try to look away or try to bury these negative thoughts under more positive thoughts, the negative thought will keep on pushing its way back to the front of your mind. So, by fighting these thoughts or trying to suppress them or bury them with more positive thoughts, you will in fact power them up. Let's then look at the right way of dealing with these thoughts. Now, although I will describe a method or technique, the more important thing is a crucial realization, a fact that we often lose sight of when thoughts go around in our head. So, listen carefully to these words and realize this. Although you may not have absolute control over these thoughts appearing in your mind, you do have control over whether you stay in your mind and drown in these thoughts or you exit or step out of the mind. Let me say that again. You do have control over whether you stay in your mind or you step out of your mind when these thoughts appear. And the magic is, when you step out of the mind, the thoughts vanish by themselves. As I said earlier, the crucial thing is to remember this fact. I say this because it's very easy to forget this and start drowning in the thoughts rather than just simply letting the thoughts be and stepping out of your mind. So I want you to firmly remember this. Thought, step out. So the next question is, how do you actually step out of the mind? Well, you do that by simply engaging your senses dynamically. That is, by bringing your attention to things around you and listening to a sound or watching something moving. For example, the trees swaying in the breeze, or if you're indoors, the second hand of a clock ticking by. And if nothing is moving around you, then you can move your gaze around by looking at things around you one by one, slowly. And if you can combine the sight and sound together, then it's even better. For example, watching the trees swaying in the breeze and listening to the rustling of the leaves. Or watching the second hand tick by and listening to the ticking sound. You can also bring your attention back to your breath and engage your senses with it. That is, you listen to your breath going in and out. You feel it moving and start breathing more fully. Now, although I do mention your breath, the key thing here is to engage your senses, especially those of sight, sound, and touch. And whether you engage your senses with your breath or something outside, the key thing to remember is to engage with something dynamic or something that is moving, because it helps the mind keep engaged or keep anchored for longer. And like I said, if you can't find anything moving, then move your gaze around, slowly looking at things one by one. The moment you do this, you will step out of your mind and the thoughts will simply disappear. Now, although you may need to do this now and again, it is a good short-term solution to breaking the cycle of thoughts and getting some relief. But what if the thoughts are persistent and keep on reappearing after every few moments? Well, we go back one more step in the yogic sequence. That is, we perform yoga in reverse. Let me explain. Why I call this reverse yoga is because yoga is an 8-step approach in which we still the mind by using some foundational practices and then easing our body with different postures and then doing some breath work and finally disengaging our senses or withdrawing our senses to go into a still mind. But what if we find that the mind is not still? Well, you go back one step in reverse. That is, this time, rather than disengaging or withdrawing your senses, you engage your senses to step out of the mind. And if the thoughts are more persistent, then you go one more step back, which is to breath work. And you don't have to do anything complex in terms of breath work. Simple deep breathing will help. Just take in some full deep breaths and feel and listen to your breath going in and out. And if the thoughts still persist, then we go one more step back into postures, which could be as simple as doing some simple stretches and loosening your body. The key here is not necessarily doing the stretches, good if you can, but to loosen and relax your body. So if the situation doesn't permit doing stretches, then simply let go and relax your body, especially your jaw and shoulders. Just let the tension go and loosen up. Also, another thing you could do is readjust your posture into a more comfortable one. And when you do, the body-mind connection will help ease the tension in the mind and relieve the thoughts in the mind. So now we have 3 things working to eliminate those thoughts in our mind: sense engagement, breath work, and the body-mind connection. Or in other words, simply engage your senses, take a few breaths, and loosen your body to let all the tension go away. Now, before we do a quick recap, let us remind ourselves that this is a short-term or firefighting solution, which does work and give you relief in the short term. But if we want long-lasting peace, then we've got to go one more step back in the yogic sequence into the lesser known but profound foundational steps of yoga. And it is there that we find the key to long-term relief from these thoughts in our mind. And that key is Svadhyaya, or self-study, the process of knowing ourselves, of understanding the inner workings of our mind, body, emotions, ego, and discovering our true selves. Such knowledge from self-study is what leads to freedom from thoughts and long-lasting happiness in life. But where do you find such knowledge, especially in a simple language and set in a modern context? Well, it's for this precise purpose that I have written my book, Emotions, Happiness, and the Story of Our Lives. It contains the inner knowledge that will become a solid foundation for long-lasting peace in your mind and happiness in life. Anyway, to quickly recap the instant solution for silencing thoughts in your mind, if you find yourself drowning in a sea of thoughts, then do not fight those thoughts or try to bury or suppress them. Instead, step out of your mind. So remember, thoughts, step out, engage, breathe, relax.